let's talk about the fans on the Captain 6, 8, and 10. It's all if you got a Captain 6, 8, or 10, the same settings apply to all of them, and maybe even larger ones in the future. So if you got fans, that's essentially your cooling. So if you got fans hooked up, we call them cooling. So anything that cools you use as a fan circuit. And perimeter 301 through 310 sets the start temperature for up to 10 fans. Every fan has its own start temperature. Each one is unique, and you can start them at different settings. Then you have a diff 1 temperature and a diff 2 temperature. What is that? That's if you have the diffs or when you have different set points based on the time of the day. And what does that mean? That means when it's really moist in the morning, you can have it automatically 9 o'clock every morning. Turn up the heat, open the vents, and get rid of your moisture. That's what diff 1 and diff 2 are for. And you're going to have 2 of those throughout the day. Fan temperature gap. That's the difference between on and off. So if you have your fan coming on at 70 degrees, you can have it go off at 69. And the next fan, you can make a 3-degree gap or whatever gap you want. The gap is separate for every fan. Then the fan max mile per hour. That's if it's like stupid windy outside, you can just shut all the fans down. It really depends on your application if you want to use that. This will only show up if you have a wind meter connected. Then there's a mile per hour dead spent. I mean, that's a gap between the fans shutting off. So if you turn off the fans at 90 miles an hour because a tornado is coming, and you have the gap set to 10, they'll start turning back on at 80. So that's a little extreme, but that's what the gap is. And here's a good one. The fan one's the maximum humidity. If the humidity sensor is installed, here it says fan number 1 is going to start to dry out the building. We actually changed that here, so now any fan can turn on. Any one fan can turn on, because if it got too humid in the building, you can turn on a fan or you can open a vent. But if you have only fans, this is the perimeter you use to set the fan. This is the set point for the maximum humidity for the fan. And here, the fan assigned to the humidity. This is in the later versions. What we're selling today, you set which fan you want to turn on. At first, it was only fan 1. But now, fan humidity hysteresis, that's the difference between. So if you have it turning on when it got to 85% humidity, you'll have it turned back off at 80, 81. I mean, you set the threshold. It'll depend on your sensor and or more your greenhouse size. How big of a gap, so you don't have it going bonk, 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 bonk. And then this is the last one. Fans high temperature limit. So each fan has its own unique high temperature limit if you want to use it. So what that means, if you can have a fan turn off when it gets to 100 degrees just because you have everything open at that, or you have a bigger fan turn on. So that's what you use to shut a fan down when it gets really hot. I mean, this is an advanced feature, and normally you leave it turned off. So that's all the fan perimeters, except if you have a variable speed fan, the control can also do 0 to 10 volt output to run a VFD fan. So there you have a low speed, high speed, low temperature, high temperature, low speed, and the manual speed. So you can ramp the fan up with the temperature, and these are your 4 perimeters. Whoop! You increase it as it gets warmer outside, and then you can just manually force it to a particular speed, and you can set how slow the bottom end is. So now you understand the fan settings in the Captain series. These are all the perimeters you can use to affect how the fans operate.